Record-breaking floods have left much of Pakistan underwater. The Pakistani Prime Minister has called it the worst in the country's history. Crops have been destroyed, disease is now spreading, and more than 1,000 people have been killed. So what's causing Pakistan's devastating floods? Record monsoon rains and melting glaciers in Pakistan's northern mountains have caused widespread flooding. Experts say the disaster bears the hallmarks of a changing climate.
A warmer climate means that you have more intense rainfall, and also a warmer climate means that glaciers are more likely to melt and collapse quicker. Both of those things came together in this tragic event in Pakistan.
The South Asian monsoon pattern descends on Pakistan each year between June and September. Normally, it brings much needed rains after summer, but research shows the annual monsoons are getting wetter and more dangerous because of climate change. Between June and August this year, Pakistan received nearly 3 times the 30-year average rainfall for this time of year, and meteorologists are warning there is more rain on the way. Pakistan's flood preparedness and its ability to react to the rising waters is being hampered by a tense political situation. In April, Prime Minister Imran Khan was removed from office after losing a no-confidence motion in Parliament. Ever since, supporters of Mr Khan's political party have continued to rally, calling for new elections.
Even when the floods had started wreaking havoc on people in Balochistan, the southwestern province, it was really intriguing to see that the rallies continued.
Pakistanis have also been living through an economic crisis. COVID restrictions and infections, rising inflation and increased food insecurity caused by the Russia-Ukraine conflict have worsened living conditions. Since coming to power, the new government has been dealing with rising foreign debt and has been trying to negotiate a bailout.
So its focus was on trying to get the loan agreement with the International Monetary Fund worked out. So I think that total attention to what was happening in people's lives was really missing, and that's really complicated the whole story.
Flood damage to infrastructure and crops is set to magnify the existing economic and food security troubles. According to Pakistani officials, more than 2 million acres of agricultural land have been flooded, destroying most standing crops and preventing farmers from sowing new ones. In some parts of the country, fruit and vegetable prices have tripled. Even before the floods, the United Nations World Food Programme estimated 1/5 of the population was undernourished, and around 40% of young children were stunted. The brunt of this disaster will be felt by the poor, who were already suffering.
The overall impact on the ground is related to the physical hazard, but also to the exposure and vulnerability, where exposure is who's in harm's way, and the vulnerability is how vulnerable those people, communities and systems are to change. And all of this is affected by the level of development and poverty.
Pakistan is not alone. In the last month, floods and landslides have killed and displaced people across Asia, from India and Sri Lanka to Indonesia and South Korea. According to the 2021 Global Climate Risk Index, 6 of the top 10 countries most impacted by extreme weather in the last decade are in Asia. Pakistan is the 8th most impacted country in the world. The report's authors say the analysis reconfirms earlier studies that show less developed countries are generally more affected by climate-induced extreme weather than industrialised countries.
So places like Pakistan are feeling disproportionate impacts of a changing and warming climate, and they contributed relatively little to the overall issue.